Championship weekend in college basketball, which means we've got some massive games on the horizon for today. Welcome into Beat the Bookie. I'm your host, Jacob Kronberg, taking you through today's awesome slate of games as we've got semifinals and finals leading up to Selection Sunday tomorrow night. Last week, my colleague Corey Spector did not have his best performance gambling-wise for you at home. He fell on the wrong side of the big games of the week, but kept your numbers relatively close to zero with a big Bryant cover in the NEC. Corey was minus $14.69. I'm going to try and turn that minus sign into a plus sign for your total this week. As we look at the year-long standings of Beat the Bookie host, my man Patty Gunn, he stands alone up top. He killed it. He's up a cool 49-49 on his 1 week. Tom Russo fell $2 in the red in week one. And then we already mentioned Corey lost about a 15 last time out. Today we strive for Pat Gunn territory. So let's get into the games of the week. We begin with one of today's semifinals matchups. You might think, why a semifinal on championship weekend? This is a top 10 battle. Number 4 Michigan and number 9 Ohio State. Yes, basketball, not football, in the Big Ten semifinal. That's the first game at 1 o'clock. Wolverines, they're 6-point favorites. I love $10 on that number. Simply. Against the Buckeyes, they're trending downhill. Ohio State's lost 4 of their last 6 contests. They've lost to Michigan already this year. And the Wolverines, they're 17-6 overall against the spread, 5-0 in their last 5 contests. It's an easy one for me. And now we can get into some of your championship games. We head to the Big 12. After an upset over number 2 Baylor, Oklahoma State's propelled its way to the finals. They take on a Texas team who didn't have an opponent. Kansas couldn't play because of a COVID case in the program. So it's Texas and it's Oklahoma State. Give me Cade Cunningham's bunch. They're underdogs. I think this is a really good basketball team, top to bottom. Cade's going to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. Plus 1.5, $10. OK State, they're also 8-0 against the spread in their last 8 games. And one last big game of the week. They're really all big, but over to the ACC. You've got another team with a free pass to a championship game. Georgia Tech went bye, win over Miami, and bye to get here. Florida State, they grinded one out against UNC. FSU's a top 10 team for a reason. And the best team in the ACC, in my opinion, $10 on the Noles, minus 4.5 here. They'll dominate the glass. They'll hit their free throws down the stretch, which usually leads to a cover. It's a winning recipe. Just trust me on that one. Now for some personal picks, we head back to a semifinal with number 6 Alabama and then Tennessee in the SEC. Both teams, one of their best performances of the year a day ago, but Bama, they've been standing out for months at this point. The Crimson Tide, they haven't lost to an unranked conference opponent all season. That doesn't change today. Bama minus 5, $10. Let's ride it over the Vols. Now to the Pac-12 with 2 teams you might not expect in the Pac-12 championship. It's not UCLA, it's not USC, it's not Oregon. It's Oregon State and Colorado. The Beavers, a big upset over Oregon to get here, but I don't see a great team in this conference. I do see Colorado as a good team and Oregon State not so much. Take the Buffaloes minus 8.5 for $10, 1 unit on them. I'd probably bet this spread up to 10 points. I expect it to grow as the day goes on. This now might be the best game of the day, and it's only a semifinal. Number 3 Illinois and number 5 Iowa. This is a Final Four matchup that we get to see in a conference tournament. 2 of my probably most heavy bet teams this year, which makes it a tough decision. Could go either way, so let's ride points. $10 on over 157 points total in this game between the Illini and the Hawkeyes. Both average over 80 a game. Both score at a greater than 47% clip from the field. You've got Ayo Dosunmu, you've got Luka Garza, 2 guys contending for Player of the Year in this one. My lock of the week is a game between teams dear to my heart. In the real MAC, as I call it, the MAAC, Iona and Fairfield. All I should have to say is Rick Pitino. That should convince you to take the Gales minus 8.5. He's a Hall of Fame coach. This is a really good team. They were the 9 seed coming in. That's where the free money started on the Gales. They just outdo the Stags, who are under 500 in every statistical category. And we can go to a true dog now. The only one I think you should take a glance at. Memphis plus 7.5 against Houston. The Tigers are a really good rebounding team. They crash the glass. They're a top defensive team, as is Houston. I don't see a lot of points here, but I do see there being a close game. 7.5 is a large number. Take Memphis going into that one. Hopefully the defense can stand tall. And time for Big Sky basketball. Yes, we're going to the mid-majors. Montana State and Eastern Washington duke it out for a bid to the NCAA tournament. Small-name teams, a lot on the line. Expect a lot of offense. $10 on over 149.5 points. The over is cashed in 20 of the last 28 games for Montana State. And let's have more fun. Let's throw a parlay on championship Saturday. We start Arkansas minus 3.5. It's Bama and Arkansas in the SEC, and then no one else. They beat LSU by more than 4 points. That's what I'm banking on. That's what I expect. Buffalo minus 2.5. That's leg 2. They can run with Power 5 teams. They've got a great rebounding duo down low in Mbala and Williams. Then you've got Wichita State minus 4.5 against Cincy. That conference doesn't have a lot of competition right now. The American Wichita State's going to run away with it. And then we are going to take an under. As disappointing as that may sound, Georgetown and Creighton. Georgetown, just not a great team. They've caught lightning in a bottle to get here. Creighton has been standing well defensively lately. The offense hasn't been there every night. Under 144 points between Creighton and Georgetown. Let's take a look back at everything. Michigan, minus 6 against Ohio State. Oklahoma State, the underdogs, plus 1.5 against Texas. Florida State, minus 4.5 against Georgia Tech. Alabama, minus 5 against Tennessee. Colorado, minus 8.5 against Oregon State. Illinois, Iowa, root for points, sit back, enjoy it. Then Iona, minus 8.5 against Fairfield. Memphis as our dog, plus 7.5 against Houston. The over 149.5 in Montana State and Eastern Washington. And then the parlay of Arkansas, Buffalo, Wichita State all covering, and then the Georgetown and Creighton under. That's all we have for you today on Beat the Bookie. Sit back, enjoy, make some money on Championship Saturday. That's the only thing that can make today better. A lot of great college basketball. So have fun, make some money, have a good one. Thanks for tuning in to Beat the Bookie. I'm Jacob Kronberg. Let's make some cash.